Well, greetings and thanks for joining us for another episode of Lightbulb Moments, episode number 142. Subscribe to our YouTube channel or listen to our podcast, and we're thrilled you're with us today, whether you're live or listen to the podcast or watching the YouTube session. I am Tom Kuhn. I'm host and curator of Lightbulb Moments. I'm also the founder and CEO of Qnity. And what is a light bulb moment? Well, to us, it's a moment of sudden realization, enlightenment, or inspiration. And this forum is really not only about identifying and creating light bulb moments, but it's also about doing something with them. Remember, you can't start a fire without a spark. Hopefully, we'll have a spark today that will inspire you to take action on your greatest light bulb moments. Perhaps some of the light bulb moments you pick up on today. At Qnity, we're here to take what's confusing, overwhelming, and complicated to a clear and simpler path towards prosperity. And to prosper, remember to manage your ATM, the three currencies we have in life: attention, time, and money. Thanks for spending your precious time with us today. We love hearing from you. So feel free to submit a light bulb moment of your own on our website or contact us. Also, if you have in mind a guest or you'd like to be a guest, be sure to reach out and let us know. Today, we have very special guests, Liz and Jess Arrindell from Luscious & Co. We'll be bringing them to the mic in a little bit. This is going to be a very fascinating session. I've loved my prep time with Liz and Jess. I've also loved getting to know them over the last 3 years, and I think you're really going to enjoy this episode. Check out recent episodes. Our last episode was with Ronan Percival from Forest. He's the CEO and founder of Forest. Very insightful ideas, including some great marketing suggestions by Ronan. And then before that, the most recent episode was with Inez Gray, which was all about essentialism and eliminating things that you don't need. And it ultimately have led her to a path where she has much more balance as an owner, being able to take off 1 week per month while maintaining a busy and successful 2-location salon business out of the Seattle area. Be sure to also check out Aaron Bonsali's Money O2 podcast and some upcoming dates to remind you of. We have some workshops coming up in Austin, Texas, the 18th, 19th, and 20th of February. We have Execution SBO, our signature 2-day, in-depth, very tool-heavy, the gritty art of getting things done. We also have a relaunch of our legacy program, which is the Growth Workshop. That's February 18th. And I am doing a Succession Master Class at the same time on Sunday in Austin, Texas. A few comments about that in a moment. Also, we have these dates are February dates. We also have several April dates coming up, including Money SBO. We have the Phil coming up. You're going to start to see some very interesting and exciting, and I'll leave it at that. Announcements coming up. That's May 19th through 21st in Austin, Texas. Actually, it is a Monday, Tuesday, and then on Sunday night, we'll have a celebration of light bulb moments. We also have some very exciting announcements coming up on that. I also want to make sure that all of you are aware of the Beauty Changes Lives 1 Day, 1 Ticket, which is coming up before we know it here. It is on March 21st, 2024, coming up. And really what it is, it's having salons register to have members of their team commit to 1 ticket that day. And this is the 2nd year of this program. Maybe it's the 3rd, but it's super exciting. It's a way to get your staff involved. It's really the power of small and how that really adds up. We'd love to have as many participants as possible be part of this. I'm going to put a QR code up on the screen here, but if you're listening to the podcast, you can go to beautychangeslives.org and you'll have all the information there. It's really simple to sign up. February 15th is the deadline to sign up. There's a kit. It's turnkey. And what you're doing is essentially you're supporting making the professional beauty industry a first choice career. So definitely encourage you getting involved in that. Also, we're assembling our curated peer groups, also known as Circle. So super excited about that. Before I get to Liz and Jess, I want to share with you maybe just some light bulb moments of my own here as I prepare for an upcoming succession workshop. And I just want to take just a couple minutes because that's really where a lot of my light bulb moments have been centered in the last week. And I taught this class back in October, and it was a completely new class. And now it is going to become even better because we've taken the time to really go deeper in several areas. We've taken feedback from what we did in October. And I want to just give you a few highlights here. I'm just going to take a few minutes here and just highlight some things that we'll cover in this. Number one, 10 reasons why I love ownership transfers to key employees. I love transitions to key employees for a lot of reasons. In many cases, it's less risky and there's a higher success rate. So I'm going to give you just maybe 4 of them. And altogether, there's like 10, but just in the interest of time. Number one, it's a known successor. It's pre-qualified. You already know if you have chemistry with who this new owner is going to be instead of someone from the outside. Number two, you're able to groom, apprentice. You're also able to watch for red flags to see, is this really going to be the best successor in your business? It's also less disruptive before, during, and after a transition. Next, 4th reason is you're more likely to maintain your culture and legacy and your values and your mission. 5 is you really get to celebrate promoting from within, which most of the people we work with are very much about looking at their team first for opportunities and then looking at the outside. So it really creates a culture that many really crave, that culture of growing from within. And as a byproduct of this is not really the main reason. It does provide some good PR. You know, it's a really great message to transition a business to a key employee. So anyway, there's several other ones. There's tax reasons, there's financial and deal flexibility. There's also could be lack of other options. So definitely, I love transitions to key employees, and we've got 10 reasons why I love transitions to key employees as part of that. Another, I'm going to highlight one other thing is I get a lot of questions about valuations, and we go pretty deep into valuations. We help show you how to calculate a valuation. We talk about rules of thumb, different qualitative and quantitative pieces, but I'm going to give you my 5 really top valuation. I don't want to use the word drivers, but I think they're the most important. I really think these are the top valuation drivers, and I'll tell you why. Because not only are they great for getting ready to sell your business, but it's also great whether you want to just let go or you want to grow. So these valuation drivers are good for business today and good for business in the future. And a quick highlight on this, and we go deep in all of these. First of all, performance. Performance is key to valuations. Profitability and other key performance indicators. Of course, that's a given. Number 2 is your management team, your leadership team, which also not only increases your valuation, but it also helps you short term. The next one is really related to this, and believe it or not, the business is really more valuable without the owner. And so less owner reliance is a value driver. A business is more valuable if it's not overly dependent on one person, and in particular, the owner. Number 4, this is a big one, is get your financial house in order. I've seen so many deals go sideways because there was delays because the financial house wasn't in order. It wasn't really ready from a finance standpoint. So that also is a great valuation driver that helps short term. And then finally, the next one is the importance of strong systems. And we really like to break systems down into the 5 functions, which really gives you a mechanism to strategically really have systems as it relates to finance, marketing, human capital, operations, and education. Other goodies coming up in the workshop is going to be a tip that could save hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's a very simple tip. And if many owners had understood this simple strategy, they would have prevented a lot of headaches from after they left the business having turnover. Anyway, these are a few highlights of what's coming up in succession. If you haven't signed up, it's 2.5 weeks out. Kevin Lightheart from Lightheart Sanders is going to be there going through tax strategies. We also have a wealth manager that's going to be there. And then finally, we have some fantastic case studies, including a couple brand new ones. So, all right, that's what I got for you as my light bulb moments of the week. And at this point, I would love to bring Jess and Liz to the screen here.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are the two of you today?
Wonderful. We're so happy to be here.
I'm thrilled to have you here with us too. And you know, I've got, well, first of all, let me do my job here and give a little bit of credit in terms of a bio, okay? So twin sisters, Liz and Jess Arrindell, forged a path from corporate corridors to the creative canvas of beauty and have transformed their vision into the thriving brand that is Luscious & Co. Their unique blend of business acumen and artistic flair has redefined the beauty industry's landscape, fostering a culture of innovation, growth, and unwavering commitment to excellence. By championing an entrepreneurial spirit within their team, they've cultivated a dynamic ecosystem where ideas bloom and change is embraced, ensuring both employee fulfillment and customer satisfaction. I don't know who wrote that, but that's pretty darn good.
It's hard to toot your own horn, isn't it?
That is really very fluid and wonderful language. So a lot of smart and heart with the two of you. So
thank you. Not always in that order, but thank you for saying that.
So we had a prep call, and it took a lot of different directions, which is what I love the most. We sort of had an expected topic, and then it backed us into two other topics. You never know what the best topic is until you're done with a prep call. So I have a few themes I want to cover with you. Certainly, we want to get to a subject about the great, what you have really brought to attention, called the Great Exploration. And really, this is essentially about top producers. We'll go deep into that. I'm also fascinated with business partnerships. And this one has a particular fascination to me because of the two of you are twins and business owners. And then sort of this unlikely path into sports analogies that that was a bit humorous and really interesting and inspiring. So are we ready?
We're ready.
Let's go with the two of you working together. So
well, we are quite the pair, Tom.
So what was super interesting is that in school, you both worked at the same company, and you have all these different stages of life that you never worked together or were ever on the same teams until you went into business for yourself. Is that true?
That is true. I think we're part of that generation where in school the concern was they won't have their own identity if we allow them to stay together, which is funny. We've been separated this entire time, and look, we still share somewhat of an identity. So that theory, I don't think, was as accurate as they were hoping for. But yeah, we were often separated. We saw each other like in passing through, I think, all of our school years. We didn't even have the same friends. We weren't into the same hobbies. We spent a lot of time as individuals, and then we'd reconnect at home or around the dinner table. And that even stood true when we started our careers. We landed at the same company, a very, very large company with a lot of employees, but not together. It was just ironic that it happened that way. I started first in a recruitment strategy. Someone jokingly said, "If only there were two of you." And I said, "Should I tell them? Should I tell them?" There actually are two, and everyone laughed. And I, after the meeting, said, no, really, there are. And so that's how the twinism happened in our corporate lives.
Well, I'm gonna go through my fascination with twins and dyads and all that in a moment, but we're gonna get a little bit more practical, okay? So, um, business partnerships and leadership is most powerful in pairs, and the two of you have forged your own lanes here. And I'm going to go first to Liz. So Liz, the lane that you're in, I think I actually, by the way, there's some tells here in terms of how you know which one is Liz and Jess. We'll get to that a little bit later, okay? So Liz, why don't you describe just briefly sort of the lane that you're in the business, then Jess will go to you next.
Yeah, so I'm in all of recruitment and the human capital side of our business, growth, innovation by way of innovations, partnerships, coaching, the hiring and the firing. So a lot of what I do is in on the front end of our business.
So I hear, in terms of the functions, I hear marketing, I hear human capital, but not as much in operations and finance. Is that right?
Correct.
Jess, that's a good segue over to you.
It sure is. So I do everything on the back end, although we're both very supportive with our team. We're very coach-like with everyone who works with us. More so support things relating to inventory, payroll, any type of money in, money out, profitability management. We work with a lot of vendors that help us support that I have more relationship with. And then we combine forces and we make it all happen.
So it didn't really necessarily start out that you knew what your lanes were. How long did it take for you to sort of get in this groove? It's like, okay, I mean, each of you have a natural affinity for your opposing areas here, not opposing, complementary. But how long did it take for you to kind of figure this rhythm out? You've been in business 9 years, right?
Yeah, this will be our 10th.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's definitely a milestone, and I do want to cheat in saying that when we were younger, we were conditioned to not ever be doing the same things. So when we were doing chores or working in the yard with our family, it was always, you're not allowed to be doing the same things. And so for that reason, we started Luscious. We started like everybody else at zero and with nothing. We had a general idea of what we were good at. And this is not at Luscious, this is just in life. I'm a little bit more comfortable and natural in having hard conversations and necessary conversations. Just, excuse me, is really good at saying, we have to stay within these lines. And so what used to, I think, be looked at as a negative, like I was the bossy one from like playing in the sandbox, and she was like the don't color outside of the lines. Together, it's been a very effective business partnership from that perspective.
In terms of tells, I mean, telling Jess and Liz apart, you mentioned there's eye color, face shape, smile, and different things. And many people would maybe notice those things maybe before I would.
Yeah.
My wife is really good at, all of that. But there was another tell that I found yesterday, and I thought it was super interesting. So in my prep time with you, I noticed something. And Liz, you know where I'm going with this. Do you want to take the handoff on this one?
I do. When we were kids, our parents got us shirts that said double trouble, and we fought over who would wear the trouble shirt. It wasn't me. I won, unfortunately, and that has been coined by I'm the spokeswoman of our dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, we were, Jess, of course, you were deeply involved and engaged in the conversation. It wasn't that you were silent, but I was kind of struck about 5, 7 minutes in it. I said, Liz, you're doing all the talking. And you just kind of decided between the two of you, part of it's maybe simplicity, isn't it?
That is. Yeah. I mean, we tend to stay in our lane, although we both contribute. She takes charge most of the time. And it's 4 decades in of that stuff.
And it works. I mean,
It
it's
does.
great.
Yeah. It's kind of like a marriage of one, divorce is not an option. You know, we both kind of have fallen into these roles where, for better or for worse, but it's used in the best way. Even our family and our children know what to expect.
Well, and I mean, it's super inspiring to see how close you are as families. You become even closer as families since you went into business together. But let's jump over to the great exploration, and we'll save the sports analogy later. I want to call that out, but let me just turn it over to you because you had some aha moments last year, and it really centered around this whole idea of the great exploration. So let's spend a little bit of time talking about what that is. First of all, what it is, and then we can get into, what that led you to do in your company.
So the great exploration is a prediction of, um, it ties somewhat into this time of economic uncertainty, and it's where experts are predicting that the trend of employees this year will not be in this great resignation of them just leaving with no real plan or for what might appear as the grass being greener, but exploring other options. Doesn't necessarily mean they'll go in that direction. The primary group of people being looked at are the highest performers in the organization. And this is sitting on the back of, I think, an era where a lot of us have found ourselves in, especially in our industry, which is extreme growth post-COVID, followed by owners and leaders trying to get their hands around how to maximize that, with the byproduct of top performers possibly been overlooked. Um, it essentially also sits in line with top performers not wanting to work on teams where the lowest performer is a representation of their hard work and their loyalty.
Keep going.
Well, the great exploration at Luscious, we started to uncover probably midway through last year, before we knew there was a term for this, before we knew what experts were predicting. And it was what we coined the second timeline of Luscious. So we put a lot of thought into 2024 and how we wanted to show up as leaders and with the rest of our leadership team. And what we uncovered through a lot of surveying, slowing things down, reconnecting with a team of 40 through a lot of one-on-ones, was that they wanted things to go back to how they used to be before COVID. And initially we thought, well, things are great now. Everyone's making more than they ever did. We launched a really, really healthy benefits package. What were they referring to? And so after digging further, what they really meant was, and this was a hard job for us, we really had to spend a lot of time reading between the lines. They wanted to go back to Luscious version 1, which officially ended when COVID started. Version 1 was when we had nothing and everything to lose all at the same time. We were willing to do anything and everything. And through that, we encouraged our team to do the same. We were coaching all the time. We were reviewing plays all the time. And version 2, Luscious, which was right around COVID, once we officially got out of that weird zone, was extreme growth and new team members and updated policies. And we learned this lesson of growth being incredible, but also very expensive, by way of our team, highest performers, kind of sitting in the back, very quiet, right? I mean, they used to be like top contributors, collaborators. They were a really heavy part of our ecosystem, and their mastermind approach was not as masterful. You know, they were still present, those minds were still here, but we knew something was off. And so in exploring this, they essentially said, we want to go back that way. A lot of these people are great people, but if we're the best of the worst, they're bringing down the average. And it wasn't everyone. I'm sure a lot of people on this call are like, yeah, we had to grow. We had to bring people on board. And while they might not have been a 10, maybe we broke our baseline of saying you have to be a natural 8 or higher. During our extreme growth phase, what would you say we went down to? 7, 6.5, 7?
Probably, but we were so busy that I don't think we ever stopped to say, what are our 10s doing when everyone else is kind of showing up at a 7 or an 8?
Yep.
Define the difference between a 10 and a 6, 7.
I want to tell you how we define this at work. We ask the team individually what they'd identify themselves at. If they say a 9, then we say at that, we're going to hold you to a 90 or higher across the board. So we first ask them to set their baseline. They always rate themselves very high, which is good news, because then you're saying, I'm just going to hold you responsible for that. If we notice that they have fallen below a 9, either way, by way of technical finish, independent artistry, meaning they need a lot of help to do something we know that they don't necessarily need help with, metrics or personality. So there's really 4 things that go into that. We say, what would you put yourself at today or this week or this month? If they say a 7 or a 6, the next question we ask is, does that mean you've given all of your customers a discount of 20% or 30%? Naturally, the answer is always no. They're entrepreneurs, they're very financially focused. And so that really does all the work for us. You know, we'll sometimes need to provide a sense of clarity. Sometimes there's a misalignment. They'll think they're a 7, but we think they're a 6. But they lead the conversation. And the second we say, great, does that mean, you know, if you're supposed to be at a 90 and you're at a 50, did you give your guest 40% off? And no, I didn't. Well, there's a value misalignment here. And so that's kind of what we started picking up on, was our top contributors. You know, they're like, I think that these are like 7s for all one of these different factors, sometimes more than one. We're talking 7 here, Liz, not 9. And we ask for a 9 or 9.5 as a minimum requirement to work here at Luscious.
So they went to a self-rating system, and I want to dig deeper into that a little bit. So was the rating system based upon those 4 criteria that you mentioned? So rate yourself.
Sometimes a bit more than that. I'm so sorry. There's a 5th, and this doesn't always show up, but that 5th is, have you made room for your distractions? Now that 5th doesn't always show up on younger, very motivated, self-motivated individuals. We all know who we're talking about. You know, they come to work, they're very, very focused. They put their job first. There's no distraction. But that same person 10 years later is probably now a mom or a fiance, or they've earned a paid time off package that they're using, and they're excited about that vacation, or they're still riding high from that vacation. And so there's at a certain point a 5th, and that is, have you built in time for your distractions? And if you haven't built in time,
where the heck did you come up with that question?
Watching them, if I'm being honest. We're high performers. We always make room for here when we're here. Our team, unless we didn't tell them, they wouldn't really know that we have other obligations, but that's because we choose to be here. We love being here. And I think we've always been like that, professionally speaking. When we started working in this industry, we picked up on the human element of them not making room for distractions and then being very reactive. Yeah, but, no, but, that told us they don't know how to make room.
You know, when we were going through this, you know, talked about top performers and, you know, who they want to be surrounded around, and really how demotivating it is to be a top performer. And then you started to use a lot of language, and I haven't heard any of it yet today. I heard it quite a bit when we went through our prep, but I heard the word champion come up. I heard the word trophy come up. And let's kind of go down that path a little bit, and then we'll save to the end to talk a little bit about sports and that kind of stuff. So bring that kind of language into it, as you've shared with me in the past.
Our theme, and it has been this way for some time, is, does this person, does this product, and does this policy protect the trophy? And that trophy is a symbol of phase 1 of Luscious, when we had everything and nothing to lose. And we started with 1 employee that turned to 4, and we wrote it for some time many years ago. They all came to us with nothing, no money, no book. They had left, you know, other toxic environments where their paychecks were like $50. And with their commitment, they've grown into very high 6-figure earners. That trophy is a symbol of their hard work, but us as a team, we are a team of essentially champions. And we use this lingo all the time. When we introduced this last year to the, does this person, product, or policy protect the trophy, it gave our team permission to tell us what they thought.
Mm.
Who better to tell us than the people on the floor using these products, hearing about the policies, or the customers maybe feeling disgruntled, but not telling us, they're telling the stylists. And I think most importantly, the people are the team members. I mean, we've grown from 4 to 40 people. And that extreme growth happened probably within 3 years. Are these people protecting our trophy, the trophy? And it's not mine, it's not hers, it's the team's trophy. They committed. We've now grown to a point where a lot of potential employees that want to work at Luscious are coming from high volume salons, celebrity backed salons. They're willing to commute an extreme commute. And it's maybe the team, maybe us, maybe the brand, maybe the business, but I can tell you with certainty, it's the trophy.
Mm.
They want to work on a team that is known for the trophy and the championship. And that doesn't mean everyone, there's a lot of people who don't want that type of pressure, but we have accidentally curated this champion mindset and this trophy that we are responsible to protect on behalf of these people.
I will refer to some of the language when I brought you on here, corporate corridors, creative canvas, transform, thriving, artistic, landscape, innovation, growth, spirit, ecosystem. And then when I was on with you yesterday, I kept hearing like trophy and champion, and I started to hear all these sports analogies. I think it's a kind of an interesting and a fun story to share about your collective passion for sports and what an inspiration was for you, sort of accidental through your kids.
Yeah. Well, we're laughing because we actually are not the athletic type. We never have been. You don't want to watch us dribble a ball. I don't even know how many points our kids are supposed to get while they're doing their
We're
thing.
just cheering for them, Tom.
Right? But our kids love sports. Really, we have 6 kids between us, and 3 of whom are essentially being raised together. There's 2 big kids who have grown all the way up, and of the 3 that are left at home, they do everything together, including sports. And they love sports. They love athletes. They love the game. They're very competitive. And over Christmas break, we give our team 2 weeks off as our Christmas present. We're still working, obviously, just from home. And our kids said, all we want before you go back to work is to watch this documentary about Steph Curry. It's all we want from you guys. And Jess and I are thinking like, yeah, deep down inside, we're like, no.
Well, how long is it?
Can we watch something else? And that's what they wanted. So we sat down. They told us, please close your laptops. Just watch this. Watch the movie. And Jess and I actually had to leave the room 2 times because it was so emotional. And you don't need to like sports or even understand the game to really. This is us. This is our industry. These are the struggles that we are dealing with. This is what your team is thinking and not saying. It's on Hulu. It's the Steph Curry documentary. And for those of you who don't know Steph Curry, I'll give you a very quick spiel of what we've learned and what we brought back to work. If you asked your team, we asked all 40 people, name a basketball player. 3 knew a basketball player, and they all picked like a Michael Jordan. Those that couldn't do it, we said, now close your eyes. Think of jerseys. Think of like what your kids like. Think of what you see on TV. Every single one of them picked Steph Curry, but they don't know basketball. And so that kind of gave us permission to run with this. Steph Curry's story is that he's a champion. He's known for breaking all these records. Everyone knows him for that. But the truth is that he started doing something he should not have done. He didn't have business playing basketball. He was too small. He was too thin. He was not aggressive. And as he was growing up, his dad, being in the NBA, kind of recognized that, but still pushed him. He played in high school. It came time for college recruitment. And he says, if you don't play for a college team known for basketball, you're probably not going to the NBA. And not many people were interested in signing Steph Curry for a college deal. They just weren't. They would show up and they'd leave, and it kind of ended at that. And so he ended up playing for a tiny college, not known for basketball. And this coach says, We have nothing to lose, nothing. We've never really won anything. And so I'm picking people who want it so bad. Maybe not championship worthy, maybe not, no one's going to win a trophy, but they want it. And so when he brought him on the team, he asked for a commitment. And with that commitment, he said, my commitment back to you is honesty. I will push you to your commitment. And so he used to keep this handkerchief in his pocket. And if any player on the team did something they weren't supposed to do or wasn't in alignment with that commitment, he'd give them the handkerchief, as in like, go home. Except no one took it. And in the documentary, this coach goes on to say, no one wanted to take the handkerchief. And I think the success plan in business or in coaching or with kids is that develop them to not take the handkerchief. Get them to a point where they acknowledge there's an issue, but they don't want to give up because of it. And, you know, if they don't make it, that's fine. He made the wrong call. He brought the wrong person on the team. But what a takeaway, you know, in a season where we're now harnessing this third timeline. Holy crap, you know, we had this moment where we're like, so Steph goes on to say in this documentary, they made it to the championship somehow 2 years in, and it's because of this mindset. And when they made it to the Sweet 16, the coach had told them in the locker room, because they were afraid, it's okay. You're probably not going to win this game. This is the best we'll ever do. I mean, we made it here, you know? Don't worry about winning. And the team said to the coach, we didn't come this far to come this far. We are going to win. And they did. They went on to win a couple more games from there until the coach kind of realized, okay, we're not going to take this title. You know, it's impossible. And so he pulled Steph Curry aside and he said, the NBA that you want to play for, yeah, you're right. They probably won't know about you unless you play on these big teams, but you're not on their team. You're on my team. And so here's what you don't know. They're all here tonight. They're all in the stands. This is your chance. If this is what you want, you don't need to win, but you need to play your best. He asked for a 10 out of 10. And Steph went out and did just that. And he got a deal with the Warriors shortly after. And it wasn't because he was big. It wasn't because he went to a basketball college. It was because, and he says this in the documentary, everyone wants to know now how I did it. Now that I'm who I am and, you know, I've broken all these records, now they want to take notes. But the truth is it was my college basketball coach. That's how I did it. He gave me permission to fail. I didn't take it. And he held me to my commitment. And we were like, get our notebooks. This is it.
I find it fascinating. And the name of that documentary, I think, is called Underrated, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and I did, after we spoke yesterday, I did watch the majority of it last night, and it is quite, it's fascinating, it really is, including watching footage of his first college game, which was abysmal. I mean, it was embarrassing, and essentially that was a tipping point of his career. I mean, the coach literally could have said, you know what, I'm moving you to the bench. I mean, it was like 13 turnovers. I mean, it's just painful to watch. And he started in the second game, and I think the rest is history. It's crazy how someone's career could teeter on one decision by a coach like that. You know, I think it's a great story, and I love how you've applied that to your business and evolved, you know, your thinking to create very meaningful analogies, which I found it to be a really meaningful and interesting analogy. So a couple of non-sports people deep into this thing of champion and trophy, and it's great, you know, it's great stuff. So
yeah, we've enjoyed it. I think there was a takeaway from that. Jess and I started doing all this research because we don't know sports, so I had to fact check. I read something, don't give me credit, I didn't come up with this. A leader's impact is determined by how much of the team that the team is willing to give of themselves. And that essentially is the takeaway from the Steph Curry documentary. I mean, this coach got this guy to just give all of himself.
Yep. A total underdog, which we tend to love around here. Willing to give and willing to grow and willing to be bad at being new, because they become our top performers, our highest producers. They are the 10th.
So you identify with the underdogs.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
And where does that come from?
Jess and I are have an underdog, I think, spirit, if you will. Like we still own that sense. We grew up with great parents, a great family. We grew up in LA, and our parents were so passionate about what they did. You know, my dad was a musician, and he really meant it. He gave up. He would give anything for his musical career, and that changed. I think when we were in high school, our parents split. My mom passed, and so Jess and I found ourselves in foster care. And what people don't often talk about the experience of foster care is that there's a lot of movement, and you develop this sense as a teenager, because it didn't happen until we were teens, that you have to earn the privilege of being a part of something. It's not naturally given to you. They don't love you because you're theirs. You have to earn it. And so with that, we spent a lot of like our younger adult years trying to earn seats at tables that we may or may not have belonged at, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, we were very successful in our corporate careers, but we also, the cost of that admission was not something I think was sustainable forever. And so when we decided that we got to do this our own way, we brought the elements that we knew this industry and hairstylists didn't have naturally. They didn't have the privilege of working in a corporate career, but we would give that to them. And so we had to choose, are we going to attract we're only hiring people with full books, we're only going to work with people who don't need training, or are we going to use this as our purpose? And you know, and through that process, I think our purpose, you know, people say like, what's the difference between passion and purpose? Because we have a lot of it. Passion is what you're good at. Passion is what you love to do. Purpose, in our opinion, we're talking about this, is what you're willing to do for free. And I think Jess and I would do this forever for free. Like if it didn't matter, right? Like if we didn't, I don't think it's ever been like an exchange for something else. We just really wanted to help those who haven't had the opportunity to help themselves learn how to do that. And it wasn't given to them. They earned it, to be fair. They all earned it. And you know, 10 years in, they're all still here, which is why the great exploration was so triggering for us, because we're like, hold on, wait, time out. But I think it's just a part of our purpose in wanting to make sure that people can find their greatness through leaders who are willing to hold up a mirror, but also expose themselves. And I think that's how we've made our career here in the last 10 years.
Yeah, we also chose an industry that pretty much everyone who starts off as a hairstylist in this industry is an underdog. They're not great. They need a lot of help, a lot of refinement. They stay humble in most cases long enough to make them great. And we connect very, very, very true to that.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop right here. Jess, I'm going to officially give you the last word. Okay.
Okay.
And what a great episode with you guys. I learned a ton of stuff today that I didn't even know about either one of you. And we are going to see you at the Phil, right? We're going to see you in Atlanta. I may have you do like an abbreviated, or maybe not an abbreviated version of what we went through today. This is super fascinating and interesting to me. What a great path and what an inspiration. Let's everybody give them a virtual round of applause. You know, give them a little shout out there in the chat. So now you both now will get the $1 million light bulb. So we should watch for that. I think it's the first time it's ever been issued to twins.
Hey, look at that.
I did share my fascination with twinning with you, which I have to do it. So I've always been fascinated with twins, and my name Tom actually means twin. I don't know if anybody knows that. Also, I live in the Twin Cities, and I'm a Gemini. And truly, the vision behind Qnity was and not or. And I think that it's really cool to see actual twins that have forged a path like this, you know, because you're obviously twin talent. So congratulations and thanks to both of you. What a great episode. I hope for those of you that didn't listen to this live, or you can't actually watch the camera, they're a very, very engaging dynamic duo. And they will be in Austin, Texas with us in a short amount of months. So thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Bravo. All right, we are on next week, and I want to give a shout out to Lightheart Sanders, who is a sponsor of Lightbulb Moments. We have some new sponsors that we're going to be introducing very soon here. And next week we will have I know who my guest is. Our guest is actually a new sponsor of Lightbulb Moments, so that's Green Circle. And we're going to have Shane Price joining us. I love my conversations with Shane. There's a lot of things about entrepreneurship, about green beauty, very, very compelling individual. So Shane is like maybe a three-peat, maybe a two-peat guest, and he's going to be dialing in from Canada. So it'd be a great episode next week. Thanks for all of you for joining us today. Put something in the comments if you like. I'm going to stick around for just a moment, and we hope to see you very soon. Thanks again. Bye.